What is AI to the common man? How would you do that?
It doesn't have intuition the way human has. It doesn't have understanding the way human has. A lot of people who are what I call process thinkers, who understand the domain, who understand pain points and use cases,
Yeah.
and the system thinkers, who are people who understand data, who understand compute
Technical
and
aspects.
technical aspect, they are having a big disconnect right now.
Correct.
Because of all these gaps and silos, I think organizations are struggling with AI-fying themselves. Within the next few years, we are going to see a new kind of renaissance.
Dr. Kumar, can you give us some examples how AI is transforming some important industry verticals?
AI is one of those horizontal skills, right? Like math has transformed many fields, economics, physics, engineering.
Yeah.
Language has transformed many fields, right? Art, music, journalism,
Yeah.
movie making. Similarly, AI is a very horizontal skill. It is transforming all industry sectors, business functions, and social sectors.
AI strategy today is focused primarily on the social sector. So, what are the industry verticals that can benefit from AI? If you could just talk about that.
I think what has happened in the last 20-25 years is we have mastered the art of applying AI to, building great search engines, followed by great, generative AI, chat GPT and all that. We have solved the problem of recommending the right videos on YouTube or Netflix or connecting the right people on social media.
Correct.
So we have solved some very complex, very interesting problems at a planet scale. But in the next 20 years, the trend I am seeing now is that a lot of social impact problems are being handled by AI. What education would look like if it was born today? In the post-AI world, post-digital world, when every kid has a phone and connectivity and content, what should education look like, right? We have not yet reached the full potential of AI in those things. They're all content companies. Let's talk about agriculture for a second. Now today, again, the same theme. If you look at how farmers need help at every stage of their agriculture journey. They want to know what to grow given their climate and soil. They want to know how to do the practice of agriculture.
Yeah.
They want to know where to sell it for maximum profitability. Domain knowledge is there. Data layers are to be built in agriculture, and AI algorithms are ready. If we can put it all together, this is also possible. Healthcare is a huge area. I think we don't have enough doctors. Doctor-patient ratio is very different, especially in the global south. Behaving pretty much like a doctor does. It can diagnose the top 5 diseases and do a very good job of what we call a preclinical diagnosis.
We have a lot of personalized content that is accessible to us today, but that's not true for education. It's not as personalized as it should be. It's not as per every student's learning curve. So going forward, do you see any major breakthroughs there?
Yes.
In the field of education? Will students go to school? Will teachers exist? How will the future look like?
We are entering a world of digital physical systems. The students will be able to do the digital part of education themselves.
So what are those core skills that the future data scientists in India should possess?
The current generation of data science are the link between the two. They have to be experts in domain thinking and system thinking so that they can connect the dots.
With great powers come great responsibility. AI has redeemed humanity and has also destroyed humanity at the same time. So what are the possible dangers we should watch out for? AI dangers.
I think AI is up there with the discovery of fire.
Yeah.
And we used it and misused it, right? We created gunpowder, had bombs and everything.
Yeah.
Similarly, nuclear energy, we misused it first in Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and then we used it to produce electricity, right?
It will affect our bread and butter. It will take away our jobs.
Yes, but a lot of people whose job will be naturally displaced because AI has done a better job, they will have a hard time. They'll have to upskill themselves.
Dr. Kumar, could you elaborate on the concept of smart cities? We are hearing that there are so many smart cities emerging in India.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Today it's all bits and pieces, right? There is a department for something, departments for something else. The planning is not very high. I think the quality of life somehow was supposed to improve, but it has not.
Yeah.
It has deteriorated.
Yeah.
Obviously, the cities have not kept up with the pace of population, and they're not planned well. We need to rethink how we design cities properly. Say in the daytime, energy can come from solar. In the night time, it can come from coal or saved energy from solar. And how do we conserve energy, smart buildings when people are not there? Safety is a big issue, right? Today also, in spite of millions of cameras, we have crime against women are not reducing, they're increasing. So imagine camera systems become intelligent enough to say, hey, a crime is happening, I figured it out. Within 30 seconds, it notifies the police, puts a siren, notifies the families, Aadhaar card, identity of perpetrator. We can start to see how every sector, education, healthcare, smart cities, industries, manufacturing, I think we are in a very interesting time where all the sectors can become 10x better, more efficient, more personalized, more optimized with higher sustainability, and we can sustain a larger population with less resource consumption, energy consumption, if we become a smarter society in general.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode. We have a very special guest today, Dr. Shailesh Kumar, who is the Chief Data Scientist at Jio, where he leads innovative work in the field of AI and data science. Dr. Kumar, thank you for taking out the time and agreeing to share your valuable insights and expertise on this most important topic today, artificial intelligence. Thanks a lot for joining us. So Dr. Kumar, can you tell us about your journey? How did the journey about artificial intelligence start for you?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. So I was a student in my undergrad, and in the third year we had an internship.
Okay.
So I got an internship to work on something called genetic algorithms in IIT Kanpur. And that's when I realized that this is very different. This is not computer science.
Yeah.
This is something different. And that's when I said, man, this is what I want to do. And what is it called? What is the broader umbrella? Then I realized this is a new field called AI that is emerging. It has been around for a while, and we were getting into it. And then I realized that this is where the brain is wondering how the brain works.
Correct.
It's kind of a meta thing. And then I realized back then, about 25 years ago, that this is what is going to be the future. I think software engineering is great, computer science is great, but AI is going to be the next thing after computer science. So I made a decision to do that. Then my bachelor's project I did in this area. Then, I went for my master's and PhD in UT Austin in the same area. And then, all my jobs, I learned different aspects of AI. So in my first job, I learned about how to build great models with high accuracy and deploy them. This was a company called Fair Isaac, where we build credit models and fraud models for finance domain. Then I moved to companies like Yahoo, Google, and Microsoft, where we worked on search engine. So Yahoo search engine, Microsoft search engine, Google search engine. That's where I learned about big data thinking and building the planet scale AI products. So that was great. Then I did my edtech startup. I wanted to do something in terms of social impact with AI. And I built a math reasoning engine and used that to help kids how to learn math.
Lovely.
And then, I worked in Ola. And Ola, I learned a lot about how to do real-time decisions, because Ola is one of those where you have to do real-time decisions on allocating a cab or pricing changes and all of that. So there I learned about real-time decision making. And now I work at Reliance Jio, where I look at many verticals at Reliance. And here I'm learning how to think about ecosystems and top-down thinking of AI. What are the common principles which are across domain, and specific things within domain, what we have to do, how to design massive AI systems with petabytes of data and real-time decisions, and all the learning that I have learned in the last 20 years is coming to bear. So
that's wonderful. That's like a very rich experience in the field of artificial intelligence. In one sentence, if you have to explain what is AI to the common man, How would you do that?
Yeah, so AI is just, if I think about it, all technology is really an extension of human capacity into machines,
True.
right? If we cannot think, if we cannot lift heavy things, we created levers and cranes. If we cannot run very fast, we have created cars and all that. So in that sense, AI is just an extension of human intelligence into machines. And obviously we are still trying to understand what is intelligence, and therefore what does it mean to transfer to machines, what are the repercussions of that. But in a very simple way, it is just an extension of human intelligence into machines.
Okay.
And when I think about intelligence in general, right, what is intelligence? At a philosophy level, I think about it as 5 things make up an intelligent thing. So first is the ability to learn something. So a dog can learn tricks, an ant can learn how to survive, even trees learn how to cope up with weather. So they are all intelligent in their own ways, the bees and the birds and all of that. And humans also learn a lot of things. We learn to walk, to talk, to speak, to draw, all these things, right? So we are always learning. We are learning to recognize objects. This is cat, this is letter A, B, C, D. So that is one part of intelligence, which is the ability to learn something from data. Second part of intelligence is what I call understanding the world around us, right? So how do we know that this is a camera, this is a chair, this is a flag? How do we understand our visual input? How do you understand languages? How do you understand speech? And now in the AI world, how do we understand gene sequences and saying this is a variant of a virus? How do we understand satellite data? How do we understand cameras and videos? So all about understanding, right? And how humans have understood the world around them through the 5 senses. And that's how intelligent systems are now able to understand everything, right? The queries in Google, the prompt in ChatGPT, the videos and images and everything, right? So the birth of computer vision, speech processing, natural language processing, these are all partly understanding those things the way humans understand. So that is the second part of intelligence. The third part of intelligence is what I call thinking or reasoning or those skills, right? So when we think about how do we play a game of chess and saying, oh, if I play this move, he will play that move, then I'll play this move. Or how does Google does a route optimization? So first take left, then right. So thinking is the third kind of intelligence. And it is very, very broad, because if you think about it, building a career is also a thinking process, right? I am in the current state in my career. Should I take this or this or this, right? Solving a math problem is also intelligence. I am at this expression. These are my options. What should I do? Growing a crop is also thinking in some sense, because the crop has a certain state, the soil has a state, the weather has a state, and now we are saying what to do next. So thinking is the art of defining the state, finding all the possible actions, and then choosing the best action among them.
So
and then moving forward.
Helping us with better
decision making, sequential decision making, right? And thinking is one of the most powerful paradigms and is a highly intellectual task. The fourth paradigm is what I call creativity. And now we are in the world of ChatGPT and all of that. We are able to create language, music, art, videos, and whatnot, right? So I think this is a very interesting time in the world of AI. And the reason is AI was never complete without creativity. Think about it. So if we can read language and understand language, but not generate language, we are not a complete system, right? If we can listen to music but not generate music, if we can see things but not create art, then we are not complete. So this fourth stage of intelligence has really made the world of AI more and more complete. Now we can not only understand but also create, also think, and also learn to do all these 3 things. And the fifth stage of intelligence, which is what the godfathers of AI, right, Jeff Hinton and others are worried about, is the stage which you call sentience, which is what happens when AI becomes self-aware. And this is a very interesting time and a very difficult time, if you think about when we raise children and at some point they become sentient. Why am I doing this? Why should
Yeah.
I listen to you,
Correct.
right? And AI could reach that stage in our lifetime and we don't know what the repercussions are, right? And at that point the value systems, not just the intelligence, but the value system will also matter. And for example, Isaac Asimov wrote the laws of robotics, right? So we need to start thinking about regulations, otherwise AI will not have a moral compass. It will not worry about destroying something, or it will not have a guilty conscience about
Correct.
doing something wrong, right? Which is what human society has. So I think that is the fifth stage of intelligence. And when AI starts to look for its own purpose beyond serving humanity, that's when we don't know what will happen, right? So, but it's not a matter of science fiction. We are going to see that in our lifetime, and we'll have to deal with those issues as well.
And do you think AI will outsmart our lives?
So in a way, AI has already outsmarted us in many specific tasks, right? So for example, AI can do a better job at writing documents, for example,
Yeah.
because humans take a long time, all that, but ChatGPT can create a beautiful document, more complete, more grammatically correct, better flow. AI can do a better job of doing things like radiology and all of that, right? So there are tests that says that the error between two radiologists on the same X-ray is higher than what AI does, right? So
Okay.
AI errors are reducing there. So in the field of diagnosis, AI is more precise. In the field of many things that humans do, right? Playing a game of chess or Go, AI has already beaten the best in the world. And soon AI is now, with the help of the enormous amount of compute and generative AI, we are able to do better video creation, storytelling.
Correct.
The things we thought were realms of human intelligence are now getting into the AI, right? So I think these are very interesting times, and on specific tasks, AI is doing great. It doesn't have intuition the way human has. It doesn't have understanding the way human has. For example, we understand the world through experience.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT does not have experience. It only has a sequence of words.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have that kind of understanding and intuition that humans have. But for very specific, well-defined tasks, it is able to do great. But for tasks like driving a car in India, for example, needs a next level of intelligence, right? So certain tasks, we will get there eventually. But wherever there is well-defined tasks, AI is already surpassed. Wherever we have put our data and training to it, we have already done a better job.
Dr. Kumar, AI has been a buzzword not just recently, but it has been the talk of the town for a very long time. And it has seen multiple winters, right? Even after Gen AI that came into picture, companies have still not been able to realize their full potential across sectors. So what do you think are the primary reasons for the same?
Yeah, so the reasons have also evolved. So in the early days, we used to complain that we don't have enough data,
Yeah.
right? And then we started collecting data on everything, right? Banks are collecting, telecom, retail, every company is
Yeah.
collecting. So now we are a data-rich civilization. Then we started complaining about compute and said we don't have enough compute to train models. Then the compute problem also got solved, and now we have enormous amount of compute thanks to NVIDIA, Intel, and all these companies. So compute is not a problem. Then we used to talk about algorithmic improvements, right? We don't have sophisticated algorithms, and that also got solved over a period of time. Many beautiful algorithms have emerged in supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning, and all of that. So now we are algorithm rich, compute rich, and data rich.
Yeah.
And now the question is, why are we still not able to,
Reach our
put
maximum
AI
potential.
into the
Yeah.
industry, right? And I think the reason is we are not what I call system rich. What it means is that if my data was created for other use cases, like I want to generate a report, I want to find bugs, therefore I'm generating data, then that data was not created with AI in mind, but dashboards in mind.
Yeah.
So that data was generated differently, right?
Correct.
When we split the data to create microservices, that for the same customer, his payment data is separate, say, whatever they're consuming is separate, review is separate, we didn't have a unified view of the data. So at the data layer, we have created a lot of fragments, and the data layer is not mature in many companies. Still, a lot of data is physical in nature, right? You have physical receipts, physical, in healthcare, you have physical this thing, right?
Yeah.
Students are still writing homeworks physical. So physical data and data silos, data quality.
Yeah.
Although we have the capacity to store a vast amount of data, the data is not AI ready in many companies, right? So that is the first layer and the first reason. The second reason is we think of AI as an afterthought. So we already have a running system, and we think I'm going to come in and put AI on top of it. That is not how it works. It's kind of like saying I have a body which has sensory input, eyes are there, and hands and legs are there.
Yeah.
Now I will put brain into it.
Oh.
That is not how it works,
Correct.
right? So I think what is missing is this system thinking, which is an integrated thinking, that if data is coming on one side, intelligence should happen in the middle, and operations should run with that intelligence. Unless we rethink our AI plus IT architecture together, we will never create an integrated, what I call an integrated operating system for the vertical. And unless AI is naturally embedded in the workflows, we are not going to see, seamless integration of data to AI to decisions will not happen. Like in human body, intelligence, sensory input, and motor output are seamlessly integrated, right? And that is what makes us intelligent.
Correct.
So organizations have to rethink their what we call digital transformation 2.0 strategy, and saying to become what we call an AI first organization, how do we rethink that, right?
Yeah.
The third reason is obviously, and this is very subtle, that a lot of people who are what I call process thinkers, who understand the domain, who understand pain points and use cases, right? The MBAs, if you will, of the world, and the system thinkers, who are people who understand data, who understand, compute and technical aspect, they are having a big disconnect right now.
Correct.
They don't know how to speak each other's language.
Correct.
And that is becoming a bottleneck
Challenge.
now. And because now the person who knows the pain point, he is telling something, the business analyst is understanding something, the AI people are formulating something else, and everybody thinks they know what they are doing, but in the overall scheme of things, the expectations are not met. So sometimes that skill is missing, which is how do you really understand a business problem, convert that into an AI architecture, and then build models out of that, right? So we know how to do bottom-up stuff. In a way, imagine that we know how to do baking and cleaning of dishes and individual skills, but we still don't know how to prepare a meal.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference, right? Knowing the tools on one side doesn't mean that you are a great chef or a carpenter, right? You just know the tool. So this gap is still there in the data science community, which is how to see both sides of the thing, right? How to see the domain side of things, the data side of things, and the algorithm side of things together, and now the compute side of things, because that is also a cost. And how do you see all four together is what will make a next generation data scientist. So because of all these gaps and silos, I think organizations are struggling with AI-fying themselves. And at Geo Institute and many other places, we are trying to figure out a systematic roadmap of how to do that.
And how far do you think we are from the milestone?
We are very close in terms of, all the components are well done, right? We have very good data companies who know how to handle massive amounts of data. We have very good compute companies who can handle massive compute, right? We have very good domain experts in every industry that know exactly what they want. We have very good data scientists also who are well trained to do things. All of them just have to come together and then work on a problem. We are still working in our own silos. I think if we come together, then we created an integrated solution for the enterprise. Only that one switch, if it happens, we have all the skills that we need. So within the next few years, we are going to see a new kind of renaissance where we'll say, like we saw the IT revolution happen. It took a while
Correct.
for every company to become IT-fied.
Yeah.
Similarly, it will take some time for every company to become AI-fied,
AI-fied.
because we are still there, but the intent is there, right? Every leader I talk to wants to do it, every CTO wants to do it,
Yeah.
every COO wants to do it,
Yeah.
right? So intent is there, technology components are there, we just need a switch in the mindset that how to do this in a systematic way. Once we have that recipe, then we are good to go. Then everybody will adopt that.
Dr. Kumar, can you give us some examples how AI is transforming some important industry verticals in
Yeah.
India and globally?
Yes, yes. So, AI is one of those horizontal skills, right? Like math has transformed many fields, economics, physics, engineering.
Yeah.
Language has transformed many fields, right? Art, music, journalism,
Yeah.
movie making. Similarly, AI is a very horizontal skill. It is transforming all industry sectors, business functions, and social sectors. So let's talk about industry. So let's take some examples from telecom sector, right?
Sure.
So Jio is one of the largest telecom providers probably in the world in terms of data and all of that. And we solve very interesting problems in telecom. For example, one of the holy grails in telecom is what we call the self-adapting networks, right? So the idea is that city is a very dynamic entity. People are moving around in the city.
Yeah.
Data requirements at night, during commute, morning, evening, and during day are different. But the cell towers are static.
Yeah.
So how do we take care of dynamic demand with a static infrastructure?
Correct.
So the degree of control we have is the antennas. So we can actually software we can tilt the antennas. So one of the algorithms we have built is around how do you dynamically change the tilts of the antenna to say if the city is different, how do you change the demand, right?
Okay.
So this is an example of what we call the adaptation of operations to do this, right? In retail, for example, there are many use cases. We have seen search engines which can now figure out exactly what you want. Now search engines will become personalized search engines. So for example, if one person likes certain brands, certain colors of shirts, another person likes certain other brands, other colors of shirts, and if both of them are doing shirts query, they will not see the same result. They will see not only shirts, but their kind of shirts and their kind of shirts. So personalization is a big theme. Marketing, sales, advertisement, search results, home pages, Netflix.
Yeah.
You've seen that
Content
personalization happening, YouTube.
Yeah.
So everything is now getting personalized at scale, and that is one of the themes in AI. How do we personalize everything? Then let's take an example of so marketing has been personalized, if you will, and then the third theme is optimization, right? So personalization and optimization. Optimization is really about like supply chain optimization and demand forecasting. So for example, in fleet management, Ola, Uber, we want to make sure the right number of cabs are at the right location at the right time of day.
Yeah.
Right? In railway stations, in airports, in movie theaters on the weekends, where do we need more cabs? And this we can learn from data based on historic demand. Using that, we can predict future demand. Every 15 minutes, I can predict how many cabs in every part of the city I need. And then I can move the cabs around which are free to meet the demand, right? So this will bring efficiency into the platform. The time taken to get a cab is reduced, and overall utilization of resources is maximized, right? So this is just an example of how do we do resource utilization. Similarly, routing. In retail, like if Amazon, Flipkart, JioMart have to deliver, how do we optimize delivery, right? How do we bundle the n things that one delivery guy has to deliver, and what the route they should take, so that the distance is optimized, right? Similarly, when we are running a refinery, for example, right, in manufacturing, whether it is continuous manufacturing or smooth manufacturing, one of the very important holy grail problems is the process control. How do we optimally run a plant for maximum quality of product, minimum energy consumption, for a given demand of certain products, with a given input of the raw material? So like in refinery, the input is the raw material crude. Crude can come from different areas which has different properties. The demand can come based on, jet fuel is required more or something else. How do you now take these two as constants and figure out how to run the refinery properly, right? So we have now solved a very interesting problem of a joint optimization of a refinery, which is like hundreds of units working together to improve both the quality of the produce and the cost of running the refinery. So that becomes a optimization problem. So generally, if you think about it, personalization, optimization are the two broad themes in the world of most industries. What they do, right? It reduces their capex cost, opex cost. It increases profitability. It increases customer experience. It increases operational efficiency. So when we think about those metrics, then we think about the right places where we apply personalization on the customer side and optimization on the operation side. And those are giving big benefits to all industry.
So AI strategy today is focused primarily on the social sector. So what are the industry verticals that can benefit from AI? If you could just talk about that.
Yeah, so in the social sector, if we look at the India's AI strategy paper, we focused on primarily education, healthcare and agriculture and mobility and environment and sustainability, right? So I think what has happened in the last 20-25 years is we have mastered the art of applying AI to, building great search engines, followed by great, generative AI, ChatGPT and all that. We have solved the problem of recommending the right videos on YouTube or Netflix or connecting the right people on social media.
Correct.
So we have solved some very complex, very interesting problems at a planet scale. That's what we have done in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But in the next 20 years, the trend I am seeing now is that a lot of social impact problems are being handled by AI, right? So let's talk about each one. So in education, if we think about what education would look like if it was born today, in the post-AI world, post-digital world, when every kid has a phone and connectivity and content, what should education look like, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, there are three themes of education we should work on. Again, going back to personalized education, right? So the first theme is that today our education system is a one-size-fits-all education system. We all teach the same thing at the same pace to every child without worrying about where they are in their learning journey, right? And it's unfortunate that we have personalized our Netflix but not education.
That's so
right?
true. Yeah.
So I think this is a great opportunity to personalize education.
Yeah.
What does it mean? First thing is, if you look at what the current GPS of a student is, right? What do they know? What do they not know? What they have not started?
What do they aspire to do?
And currently, what is their current state?
Yeah.
And based on that, if you can decide, AI can decide that this student is ready to learn this concept because they have mastered all the prerequisites of this concept. And this student is not ready to learn this concept, right? So there is a thing called mastery learning in education. So the idea is only if you have mastered a concept, you should move forward. And if you have mastered all the prerequisites of a concept, then you should be allowed to learn the next concept, whose prerequisites you have mastered. So this is something now can be done for every student in the world across all subjects. That is the possibility, right? So think about the scale and personalization we can bring. The second thing AI can do in education is what I call content personalization. We all learn differently. Some people can learn from a few abstract examples, or some kids need a real world example before they understand the theory and all that. So can I now learn the learning style of the student and then either create content through Gen AI or search content which is matching their learning style? We all have taken Coursera courses. Either we are not ready for the course or either the teaching style of the teacher is different than what we learned, right? So these two mismatches are happening. Just because we have Coursera and all that, we have not yet reached the full potential of AI in those things. They're all content companies, right? So that is the second thing we do: curriculum personalization, then content personalization. The third is what I call the practice personalization. Today every homework is the same for every child. that is not a very personalized thing. So some kids who are behind should get an easy problem first and then slowly increase. So if we do these three things right, curriculum personalization will make sure the kids are learning the right thing at the right time when they are ready at their own pace. There is no pressure, there is no peer pressure that everybody is learning this, so I should learn that. Content can be very different, on the fly generated, and Gen AI can look at what the concepts a student knows and actually generate the thing from their favorite teacher as a persona, right? I want to learn physics from Albert Einstein at a 4th grade level or a 10th grade level. AI can generate the content for you. So in this world, content is also, we have gone beyond MOOC courses and Khan academies. Content can be generated on the fly. And then practice again can, calibrate. So these three things will really change education. Let's talk about agriculture for a second. Now today, again, the same theme. If you look at, how farmers need help at every stage of their agriculture journey. They want to know what to grow given their climate and soil. They want to know how to do the practice of agriculture. They want to know where to sell it for maximum profitability. So they need help, and now there are not enough experts to help them, right? In each language. So now imagine an AI expert in agriculture who knows agriculture, the domain knowledge of agriculture, who gets data from every farm's soil IoT, satellite data, all of that, weather data, and actually generate an advisory for every farmer in the country and say, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. And by the way, 3 days later, rain is coming in your area, your crop doesn't need that much water, the soil moisture is already high, so don't irrigate your crop for the next 3 days. This level of precision farming is now possible with AI, right? And again, like I said, domain knowledge is there. Data layers are to be built in agriculture, and AI algorithms are ready. If we can put it all together, this is also possible, right? We can even do the heat map of every crop in the country, knowing what is coming in the next 1 month. We can match it with the demand of every crop in every part of the country. We can make a very efficient agriculture system based on demand supply. We can run our export-import policies of food based on AI. So there's a lot of applications of AI, from advisory to optimization to supply chain and everything, right? Healthcare is a huge area. I think we don't have enough doctors. Doctor-patient ratio is very different, especially in the global south. And one of the critical problems in healthcare is diagnosis. Because of wrong diagnosis or delayed diagnosis, a lot of burden comes on the family later. So, AI can really now surpass human medical students, at least, in doing the diagnosis, right? So if you tell an AI system, these are your symptoms, it will ask a follow-up question. Do you also have rashes? Do you have cough and vomiting? And based on that, behaving pretty much like a doctor does, it can diagnose the top 5 diseases and do a very good job of what we call a preclinical diagnosis.
Which is screening, almost?
Preclinical diagnosis. What to screen for.
Okay.
So I need to know the first 5 diseases, so that now I can say, okay, now I know the first 5 diseases possible. Let me now do the second stage and do the investigation.
That's how it eliminates the
wrong thing. But you cannot not have your target disease in the first 5. You cannot miss that, right? And then you test for everything. Then AI can analyze all the data also, right? It can look at X-ray, ECG, everything, come up with a report, doctor can look at it and all that. And then AI can do a post-clinical diagnosis. Symptoms plus test results. And we can later add your genetic makeup, your parents' medical history, past medical conditions, all of that into the diagnosis. Today, in 3 minutes, a doctor has to diagnose because 100 patients are waiting. So they don't have enough time to do it. But if AI can do it at scale for everyone, this whole journey of healthcare will become much better. Also, AI can look at your Fitbit data and other things and suggest lifestyle changes and all that. So it's like your health companion, if you will, right? So I think these 3 areas are going to see a lot of, I already see a lot of startups working in these areas. And if we can integrate all the solutions together, we can really change society so that every farmer, every teacher, every patient, every student also experiences the benefits of AI
Yeah.
like we do when we see a Netflix or buy a product at Amazon.
Yeah. So you mentioned that we have a lot of personalized content that is accessible to us today, but that's not true for education. It's not as personalized as it should be. It's not as per every student's learning curve. So going forward, do you see any major breakthroughs there
Yes.
in the field of education? Will students go to school? Will teachers exist? How will the future look like?
Yes, a very good question. So, if you look at how we are entering a world of digital physical systems,
Yeah.
right? So, if you look at Ola, Uber, it's a digital physical system. There's a digital component and a physical component. Healthcare also, you can do telemedicine.
Yeah.
You can, there's a lot of digital and a physical. Similarly, schools are going to become a digital physical hybrid school.
Hybrid schools.
What does that mean is anything that can be done digitally, like learning from a video, doing problems on an iPad, those kind of things. The students will be able to do the digital part of education themselves. And the physical part, we still need human interaction, we still need one-on-one mentorship. So for physical things, like for example, playing games, doing a hackathon,
Yeah.
solving a problem, doing debates, teaching each other. That develops a lot of communication skills. So now AI is telling that this student is weak on that, and in the same class, this student is very good at that concept. And it can pair up and say, hey, this is a mentorship period where there is a one-on-one teaching can happen, and a student who is good at a concept can teach a student who is not good at that concept.
So better collaboration.
Collaboration, communication skills, empathy. Today what we do, our education system is built on the idea of competition.
And
We are
rote
doing an
learning.
exam,
Yeah.
right? We are competing with each other.
Yeah.
And we create a culture of competition now, and later we expect these people to grow up and collaborate. And it's not
as
happening.
leaders in the industry.
Right?
Yeah.
So the finer ideas of collaboration, empathy will
Yeah.
not be taught explicitly, but through a mentorship program, we can actually define and identify, who can be the mentor and a mentee,
Yeah.
and students can do that in the school. So the classroom should look like pairs of students sitting together, teaching each other, right?
Okay.
They should be solving problems. They should not be rote learning to give an exam, but they should be learning at home to solve a problem. So we want to launch a rocket to do this, we want to build a drone for delivering medicines in the emergency. So I think schools should become entrepreneurial innovation labs where whatever they are teaching, students should be able to apply that, whether in biology or physics or any other subject. So students should become thought leaders and entrepreneurs and innovators instead of test takers. That's what we are producing today.
Yeah.
Right? IIT coaching, this
Rightly
coaching,
said.
that coaching.
Yeah.
So the purpose of education has to become, how will I help society become better? What are the problems I should identify? Can I become what I call a design thinker, a system thinker, a solution thinker, and not just how many marks I got in physics and chemistry.
Correct.
Right? Application of knowledge is what we are going to teach. That is the next level skill. And with the advent of Gen AI and all, we don't need to memorize anything. Right? We can have a just-in-time information I need. So the research skills are more important. How to do prompt engineering, what questions to ask, how to break down your problem into simpler problems, critical thinking. So I think what schools should be teaching should be not knowledge-centric teaching, but innovation-centric, thinking-centric teaching, right? And empathy-centric teaching. So I think those skills will be taught in a physical school, while all the learnings can be done with a digital school, like we talked about curriculum, content, and practice personalization.
Dr. Kumar, you're teaching the next generation of data scientists in our country at the prestigious Geo Institute and Indian School of Business. So what are those core skills that the future data scientists in India should possess?
Yeah, so I think, they should always, we always talk about the fundamentals and the first principle thinking.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the top-down thinking. So let's talk about it. So, the future skills that I think is not the knowledge of something, but the ability to create something from first principles, right? So first principle thinking is a very important skill. It is a very misunderstood skill, but that is one skill. So we teach students how to think about a algorithm from first principles and develop it on your own instead of telling you what it is, right? So we logically go through a process where we develop algorithms, because in the future data scientists will not have to just use existing algorithms, but maybe tweak them, develop their own. We saw how the Gen AI race is going on with DeepSeek. So those are the real data scientists who come up with new intuitive ideas on improving algorithms. So this is one area where we want to make sure they know their math skills very well, the coding skills very well, and the algorithmic thinking, computer science algorithmic thinking and data science thinking at first principle level, right? So the cores are not going away, although the tools are there, so they don't need to know the core because tools are there to build the models for them, but still knowing how the models evolved, what was the thought process, what how to build new models from scratch, how to design new models is a very important skill. The second most important skill, I think, is the art of formulation. And if you remember the word problems we used to solve in 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has this much of that, and how do you solve that?
Yeah.
So you're given a business situation,
Yeah.
and you have to create an AI architecture for that.
Okay.
This is a missing skill. Again, going back to how we have process thinkers who know the domain, and how we have platform thinkers who can build platforms, and the missing link is the people in between. So for me, the students, the current generation of data science are the link between the two. They have to be experts in domain thinking and system thinking so that they can connect the dots and say, oh, if you want to increase the efficiency of your Ola platform, then what AI algorithms I should use? I should have a demand forecasting, I should have a allocation optimization, all of that, right? If you want to optimize the inventory cost of retail, a business problem is given to you. How do you say, what should I do? If I want to spend my marketing budget more efficiently, then they should know that it's a segmentation problem and a personalization problem. So that skill is what we need to develop, which is how do you take a business problem, break it down into a workflow, identify what AI components are there, how the output of one model will become an input of another model, and how you will solve that problem. So formulation thinking, system thinking about workflows, and solution thinking, and saying what is the metric I am going after, what is the decision I am making, therefore what is the model I have to build, therefore what features I have to use, therefore what data I need. So modeling should be, I think the field should be called decision science, not data science. We want to help them learn how to go backward from decision and not forward from data, right? So those are the skills, I think, that the next, they don't, ChatGPT can help them code, implement all the algorithms, right? But they have to ask the right question and say, oh, what about this, what about that? So how do I solve the business problem? That design of the workflow is still a human task, and they should be able to solve that.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Dr. Kumar, you mentioned that many companies are trying to be AI first companies today, and they are investing heavily in this area. What do you think is missing in these companies, because no one seems to know exactly what's the right path, or the blueprint is not in place yet.
Right.
So what would you like to say about AI-fication of companies? And I was also reading that SaaS is also going to see its sunset very soon. So will AI completely take over software as a service based products, or what would you like to say about this?
Yeah, so I think one of the things I have learned is that if you solve point solutions well, right? Take any field. If I can do advisory well, but not supply chain in agriculture. If I can only do content creation, but not content personalization. If I can do only point solutions well, but I am not able to integrate them, then I don't get a solution. It's kind of like saying I got a good engine, a good air conditioner, a good seat belt, all of that, but I cannot create a car yet.
Assemble it.
Yeah. So the idea is that first skill we have to learn is ecosystem thinking. So the way, like I said earlier, we have to think about AI not as an afterthought, but as part of the workflows. And that thought process is only going to come when system people and domain people will sit together. So that is one skill the companies have to develop, which is start thinking about your workflows, then start thinking about the implementation of the workflows and opportunities of automation, opportunities of intelligence, and opportunities of integration. So that we design it first. Today what we do, we discover a new use case, we push it into the system. We discover another use case, it's kind of like saying, oh, we realize that we need a heart also, so we'll put it. Then we need an eye also, we'll put it. We don't do that,
Very
right?
ad hoc.
Yeah. So if you have to create a great city, you have a master plan.
Yeah.
You have to build a building, you have to have an architecture.
Yeah.
So similarly, what is the architecture of your organization, all the way from data on one side, intelligence on one side and operations on one side. What is the architecture and what are your workflows and decisions and metrics? Unless we write it down, we don't have a design document for the new AI first organization yet. Once we have that and we give it to Gen AI or whatever, I think that is the part that is easy. Implementation is very easy now because every component you can ask ChatGPT how to build, get it built, do some curation, finish it off. So I think design is where humans should now focus on, designing these new platforms for their organizations with all the domain knowledge they have acquired and also increase the quality of data that they have. If we do these three things, right, use ChatGPT for implementation, therefore SaaS is dead.
Yeah.
But what has come out is what I call operating system as a service.
Okay.
What does it mean to think about an agriculture operating system, a banking operating system, which covers all the workflows of that? And if you think about it, they are all doing the same thing. All banks are essentially doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They're actually building a banking operating system in their organization. But the way they are building is, they're buying different point solutions from different vendors. Each one doesn't work with the other component. So there is a big problem of interoperability. And therefore they have human in the loop who are downloading stuff from one vendor product, uploading to another vendor product, and that delays everything. So decisions are not real time, optimization is not end to end. And that is what we need to focus on. So I think we don't have an AI problem, we have an integration problem to solve first. And once we solve the integration problem, AI will improve over time anyway, right? And my clue for this is the life form evolution of life on Earth. If you think about the first life form, it was amoeba. Amoeba was the first integrated life form.
Yeah.
It did not have the best of everything, but it was integrated. So nature first solved for integration, and over 1 billion years it solved for intelligence.
Intelligence.
Right?
That's true.
So that is how we should build an organization also. Imagine if we had said, no, we'll take 100 years to perfect the engine of a car. And then only we'll launch a car. We will never see a car launched.
That's true.
Right? We perfected every part of the car, the tires, the engine, everything. And cars got evolved over time. Life got evolved over time. Similarly, enterprises have to evolve over time. But we cannot do it with silos in place. This is my data silo, this is my compute silo, this is my operation silo, this is my intelligence silo. If silos are there, we will never create an integrated organization. Therefore, we need to first solve the integration problem, then solve the intelligence problem, which will happen automatically because now I can build a model, but I don't know where to put it because the body is not ready to consume the mind in a way. So I need a system where everything is in place. I have to just plug in a new model, replace with the old model, everything just keeps running. Unless we reach that architecture of integration, there is no point trying to improve the quality of models without getting them deployed end to end in an organization, right? So that is what we need. We need an IT plus AI architecture of the organization. Only then we will be able to build great AI first organization.
Sure. With great powers come great responsibility. AI redeemed humanity and has also destroyed humanity at the same time. So, what are the possible dangers we should watch out for? AI dangers.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you're very right. I think AI is up there with, the discovery of fire,
Yeah.
and we used it and misused it, right? We created gunpowder, had bombs and everything.
Yeah.
Similarly, nuclear energy, we misused it first in Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and
Yeah.
then we used it to produce electricity,
Yeah.
right? Every technology that mankind has created, we have a habit, it seems, of misusing it first and then start to find use of it.
Okay.
Internet has the same thing.
Yeah.
We filled it with all kinds of junk, and after COVID, we realized we can use it for education also.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So the idea is AI will also go through that. We will first misuse it because people have that habit, and then we'll put regulatory frameworks around it, and then we'll be better off, right? Like cars did not have seat belts for a long time,
Yeah.
but when we realized that, oh, drunk driving is bad,
Yeah.
cars without seat belt is bad, then the regulations helped us, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, AI regulations are coming, and regulations are generally after we have abused or misused the technology. Then only, like nuclear non-proliferation treaty came after the bombing of the cities and all that. So in AI also, there are many, many pitfalls. One of them is the violation of privacy, for example,
Yeah.
right? So we believe that data belongs to the customer, not the person who collects the data,
Yeah.
not the person who is analyzing the data, right?
Yeah.
So how do we enforce such principles that privacy is not violated, right? Second is fairness is a very important thing. If you look at the old way of making decisions, they had human biases in them.
Yeah.
So imagine that some banks in the US had a bias that only white men are going to get loans and blacks and females are not going to get loans. So that is a human bias, and now that bias is showing up in the data, and now if AI is used to train a model with that data,
Yeah.
that bias will show up in the future.
In AI's decision making.
Right?
Yeah.
And we don't want that, right? Because the laws are different. So now what do? We biasify AI models, but we have to know that certain biases are there, right? Therefore, we can post correct them, pre-correct them during the training, after the results, but we have to correct for them. So bias and fairness and privacy are two big issues. With the advent of Gen AI, I think we need some regulations around where the models are hallucinating, where they are not hallucinating, because if we start depending on these AI models for critical decisions like healthcare decisions and things like that, and we don't know if it is telling the truth or it is hallucinating, we don't know the difference yet.
Yeah.
So the AI models should be able to say, look, these are the sources that I used, therefore, you have to trust this only because if you trust the sources, but I'm just an AI model, right? So I think the trust issues with AI will have to be built with all of that. So that is another area, right? How do we build trust with AI? Another social implication of AI, right? If you look at every time a new technology is born, humans have outsourced that skill to technology. When calculators came, we forgot how to do mental math.
Yeah.
When Google Maps came, we forgot how to tell directions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Similarly, now my real worry is when ChatGPT can generate text for you, you will lose the capacity to write text.
Yeah.
We already have a human, writer's block,
Yeah.
and now AI is helping us. Similarly, writing code will be a skill that will disappear. I mean, this is the last generation that knows how to code,
Yeah.
because the next generation will not know how to code. It will depend on that, right? So we are in that. Coders will become a rare skill in the future, because nobody will learn how to code, like nobody will learn how to write. Even today, students all across the world are depending so much on ChatGPT to do their homeworks and everything, solve math problems, that they are not learning themselves. And the race now is between whether we put AI so far ahead of us and we become so dependent on it that we lose these cognitive skills, then what will happen? That is the real worry. We should all have a debate about it. And we need AI to do the chores of life, right? I need a robotic AI to take care of home chores and
Yeah.
deliver food and all of that.
And
But
operations.
operations and all
Yeah.
that. But I don't need AI to be a creative
Or to be a
person,
thinker.
right? To be a thinker or to take away my joyful creativity activities, right?
So it will
Uh,
affect our bread and butter, it will take
yes.
away our jobs.
Yes.
How will it impact the
So,
workforce?
according to many studies, right, people who will be able to keep up with AI, use it as a tool to improve themselves, will continue to have better and better job prospects. But a lot of people whose job will be naturally displaced because AI has done a better job, they will have a hard time. They'll have to upskill themselves, right?
Okay.
So a radiologist has to upskill themselves to become an AI first radiologist,
Okay.
right? Like a pilot in the
Yeah.
aircraft also has to upskill how to use autopilot and when to take control, right? That skill is important. We still need pilots while most of the flight is run by an autopilot. So similarly, teachers have to upskill themselves and say, how do I now, instead of teaching to a class, how do I understand the needs of every student and do one-to-one mentorship more?
Yeah.
Because AI will do the broad teaching.
Correct.
Teachers will have to do specific teaching.
Yeah.
So their role is different, right? Doctor's role will be different. He will not have to do a first interview with the patient. AI would have done it already, right? He has to see the results, look at the output of AI and decide what to do.
Yeah.
So the roles of human in the human AI symbiotic world is going to be very different, and whoever will adapt to that will have a good time. Otherwise, people will have a hard time, right? So I think these are some of the not dangers but issues that we have to think about: the social impact, the skill impact, and the talent and the job impact of AI, along with the misuse of AI, right? Deep fakes and all
Yeah.
of that we have to worry about really, and only high penalties will take care of that. One of the other areas is, as data becomes more and more important, data theft is becoming more and more
It's a
costly,
concern.
right?
Yeah.
Every bank CIO is worried, every security agency is worried, and I think the whole area of cyber security will become more and more important because that issue is there. Another area is what I call the fair use of data, right? So for example, if I have a student's data in their education part, I cannot share it with the employer, right? If I have a healthcare data of a person, I cannot share it with the insurance company. So these boundaries have to be created between, because the same person going through all the systems, when can we share data, when we cannot. The awareness of the user who is approving and accepting the terms and conditions is not high enough. Today people don't understand these issues. So they are accepting because they have to use the service. But then whose onus is it to use the data fairly and properly and not misuse? So we need a proper regulatory framework which is highly implementable, monitorable, so that we make sure we don't either out of omission or commission make a mistake which will cost us dearly, right? And so we need to be more and more careful. Yeah.
Sure. Dr. Kumar, could you elaborate on the concept of smart cities? We are hearing that there are so many smart cities emerging in India.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so smart cities is one of those, if you look at the cities of today, right?
Yeah.
The amount of commute that we have to do, the traffic congestions, the air pollution problems, water pollution problems, energy problems,
Yeah.
and if you look at the data consumption in the city, all of that, right? Today it's all bits and pieces, right? There is a department for something, departments for something else. The planning is not very high, all of that, right? We are not able to know how many people are where, what are the potholes,
Yeah.
what are the issues to be solved in real time, whether it's a pollution issue or road traffic issue and all of that. Commutes are very bad in cities like
Yeah.
Bangalore, Mumbai and all of that. I think the quality of life somehow was supposed to improve, but it has not.
Yeah.
It has deteriorated.
Yeah.
Obviously, the cities have not kept up with the pace of population and they're not planned well.
Yeah.
People live somewhere, work somewhere,
Exactly.
schools are somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think we need to rethink how we design cities properly, right?
Okay.
And our older civilizations, whatever we know, they had properly planned cities. So this
Yeah.
whole idea of a planned city is very important. And with the modern technology, we can do a lot more, right? So for example, smart energy. If we can think about the hybrid energy model and say in the daytime energy can come from solar, in the night time it can come from coal or saved energy from solar, and how do we conserve energy, smart buildings when people are not there. So the idea of energy consumption can be looked at as one of the areas of this thing, right? Pollution, why is it happening, how to do take care of that. How do we take care of pollution problem is a very big problem in Delhi and many places.
Yeah.
And they are not livable cities anymore,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's a big problem. I don't know, what we can do, but environmental engineers, sensors for ppm measurement, and people who can take care of such problems should come together, right?
Okay.
Water pollution is there. We throw a lot of sewage in our, industrial waste into our Ganges rivers. Today, we need sensors for that. We need to figure out technologies to take care of that. Safety is a big issue, right? Today also, in spite of millions of cameras, we have crime against women are not reducing,
Correct.
they're increasing. So imagine camera systems become intelligent enough to say, hey, a crime is happening, I figured it out, within 30 seconds it notifies the police, puts a siren, notifies the families, Aadhaar card, identity of perpetrator and everything, right? If a child is lost, imagine you put up a photo of a child and all the cameras are looking for
Wow.
it. So these things are now possible.
Okay.
And I'm sure many startups are thinking about big problems like this at massive scale, at city scale, country scale, right? So how do we make our cities smarter? Means how do we make them more energy efficient, more environmentally sustainable, and more safe for
Yeah.
people, right? And things should run on time, and all of that will happen because everything is mechanized, right? So those are some of the areas. Autonomous vehicle is one more area. I think a lot of public transport is already there, so people have to have time to do whatever they want. If cars also become, if drones are there, mini taxi rides are there, and I'm sure startups are working on that. So
air taxis, this new concept.
Correct.
Many startups
Many
in Bangalore
startups,
are working on that.
So that requires a little bit of regulatory frameworks to be worked upon, right? Because air traffic is to be controlled differently than physical traffic. But technology is there, demand is there, and regulation is there, then I think, once they become safe, right? There are no accidents, they're not colliding into buildings and all that, then, creating corridors and all of that can be done. So, yeah, I think, see, 10 years from today, ago, we were not able to imagine what today would be like, right?
Yeah.
Right? 20 years ago, we had not imagined that on a WhatsApp call, you can have a call across the planet.
Yeah.
So 5 years, 10 years from now, we cannot imagine what the world will be like.
Yeah.
But with what we know in terms of today's advancement in technology, we can start to see how every sector, education, healthcare, smart cities, industries, manufacturing, I think we are in a very interesting time where all the sectors can become 10x better, more efficient, more personalized, more optimized with higher sustainability, and we can sustain a larger population with less resource consumption, energy consumption, if we become a smarter society in general.
Okay.
And I think that is the promise of AI, and hopefully we'll get there in our lifetimes.
Thank you for such an insightful conversation, Dr. Kumar. It was really good to learn about AI and its related concepts from you. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
I hope you all enjoyed this conversation about artificial intelligence. If you like more such content, please follow the Good Life podcast so we can bring to you fresh and insightful content on a regular basis. See you until next time. Bye.